By 1950, Boeing dominated military aircraft. The B-47 Stratojet, the B-52 Stratofortress, these defined Cold War air power. But commercially, Boeing was failing. The 377 Stratocruiser couldn't compete. Airlines lost money on every route. Boeing needed a new aircraft, and this time they wouldn't wait for orders. They would bet the entire company on a radical idea: a jet-powered transport based on military technology. This is the story of the Boeing 707, an aircraft that almost bankrupted the company that built it, yet changed the world forever. In 1952, Boeing chairman William Allen committed $16 million to develop a jet transport prototype. That represented 1/4 of Boeing's entire post-war net worth, approximately $161 million in today's dollars. No firm orders, no guarantees, just a belief that jet travel was the future. The prototype, designated Model 367-80, the -80, would be offered to both the Air Force as a tanker and airlines as a passenger aircraft. This dual-purpose strategy spread development costs across military and civilian markets. But Boeing had an advantage competitors didn't. They'd already solved the hardest aerodynamic problems through military contracts. The -80's swept wings weren't Boeing's invention. They came from Nazi Germany. In 1945, Boeing engineer George Scherer discovered Adolf Busemann's swept-wing research at Germany's Falkenroder Center. The wind tunnel data showed swept wings could reduce high-speed drag by a factor of 4 compared to straight wings. Scherer immediately grasped the implications. He sent a 7-page letter with hand-drawn calculations to colleague Bob Withington, writing "censored" on the envelope to bypass distribution delays. Boeing redesigned their XB-47 Stratojet with 35-degree swept wings based on this German research. The swept-wing B-47 won the Air Force competition. Over 2,000 were built. The formula: cylindrical fuselage, 35-degree swept wings, pod-mounted engines. Boeing translated this configuration directly from the B-47 to the KC-135 Stratotanker, and then to the -80. This was systematic technology transfer. While Douglas started from scratch, Boeing adapted proven military technology the Air Force had already paid to develop and test. August 6, 1955. Boeing test pilot Tex Johnston did something that should have gotten him fired. During a demonstration over Seattle's Lake Washington, with thousands watching, Johnston rolled the -80. A complete 360-degree barrel roll in a commercial jet prototype. The crowd went wild. Boeing executives nearly had heart attacks. When Johnston landed, company president William Allen asked, "What the hell do you think you were doing?" Johnston replied, "Just selling airplanes." He was right. The barrel roll proved the -80's structural integrity better than any technical presentation. The footage made worldwide headlines and captured the public imagination. But while Boeing celebrated, competitors were forcing a crisis. The -80 had a 132-inch fuselage, only 4 abreast seating. Boeing widened the production 707-120 to 144 inches, matching the KC-135 Stratotanker. This allowed 6 abreast seating, and let Boeing reuse 70 to 80% of KC-135 tooling the Air Force had paid for. Then, Douglas announced the DC-8 with a 147-inch fuselage, 3 inches wider. Those 3 inches meant superior passenger comfort. Airlines noticed immediately. In October 1955, Pan American ordered 20 Boeing 707s and 25 Douglas DC-8s. Pan Am ordered more DC-8s. The market had spoken. Boeing widened the 707 to 148 inches, 1 inch wider than the DC-8. This third iteration destroyed the program's economics. The 144 to 148-inch redesign invalidated the KC-135 tooling reuse plan. By the time Boeing introduced the stretched 707-320 Intercontinental, commonality with the KC-135 had collapsed to just 20%. The 707 would never be particularly profitable, and only started to return a profit after several hundred had been delivered. Boeing needed to sell approximately 300 to 400 aircraft before offsetting development and retooling costs. The program became a financial endurance test. Early 707s used Pratt & Whitney J57 turbojet engines, powerful but extremely thirsty. Fuel costs ate into profits on every flight. Then, Pratt & Whitney introduced the JT3D turbofan. Turbofans route air around the combustion core through a large fan rather than pushing everything through the hot engine. Fuel efficiency improved 25% compared to turbojets. In 1960, Boeing introduced the 707-120B with JT3D turbofans. The B designation became standard: 707-320B, 707-420B. The turbofan engines reduced fuel consumption so dramatically that previously marginal routes became profitable. Range increased, operating costs dropped, noise decreased. Douglas eventually retrofitted the DC-8, but Boeing moved first and captured early sales. Speed of execution mattered. Boeing's success came from customization. The 707-138 for Qantas had a shortened fuselage and extended range for Australian airports with runway limitations. The 707-320 Intercontinental stretched to accommodate more passengers on long-range routes. The 707-420 used Rolls-Royce Conway engines specifically for BOAC and British Airlines. The 707-320C convertible freighter became the most produced variant, 337 aircraft. Its large cargo door and structural reinforcement created an entirely new market, the modern jet freighter. This proved economically transformative. Early 707-320Cs operated as passenger planes for 15 to 20 years, then converted to freight, extending economic life to 35 to 40 years. Airlines like UPS and FedEx became major 707 operators in the 1980s and 1990s. Douglas built variants too, but Boeing executed faster and maintained production consistency. The final tally: Boeing sold 1,010 aircraft. Douglas sold 556 DC-8s. Boeing won. Not because the 707 was more profitable per aircraft, but because they moved faster, executed production schedules flawlessly, absorbed financial risk Douglas hesitated to take, and maintained delivery consistency that built airline confidence. Break-even came only after 300 to 400 deliveries. Boeing sustained production for over a decade before the program became economically positive. They survived on volume, not margins. The subsequent success of the 727, 737, and 747 built on 707 manufacturing capabilities, customer relationships, and brand prestige, ultimately justified the $16 million gamble. The 707 transformed global commerce and society. Before the jet age, business travel to Europe required 6 to 8 days. Only senior executives made such trips. The 707 compressed travel time to 16 to 20 hours. Mid-level managers, engineers, and sales personnel could now travel internationally as routine business. American manufacturers could maintain overseas operations with regular supervision. Engineering teams could travel for product support. Multinational corporations could conduct integrated global operations. The jet age business culture emerged only because the 707 made frequent travel feasible. The 707 democratized international leisure travel. Middle-class families could visit Europe for 2-week vacations. Tourism economies grew exponentially in the 1960s and 1970s. Trade in perishable goods became practical. Fresh flowers, seafood, produce moved intercontinentally within hours on freight 707s. Multinational supply chains integrating manufacturing across continents became feasible. Boeing risked everything, moved faster than competitors, and executed flawlessly. They leveraged captured German research and proven military aerodynamics. They absorbed extraordinary financial risk when Douglas hesitated. They responded to competitive threats with rapid design iterations. They maintained production schedules that established a 1-year service entry lead. They developed variants for diverse customer requirements. Douglas approached the market with caution and hesitation. They waited longer to commit, relied less on military technology transfer, and failed to achieve production competitiveness. By the time the DC-8 entered service in 1959, Boeing had established operational credibility and airline commitments. The 707's true significance wasn't in Boeing's profit statements. It was the transformation of global commerce, tourism, and connectivity. By making long-distance travel economically feasible for large populations, the 707 facilitated globalization and international business integration at a previously unimaginable scale. The aircraft that almost bankrupted Boeing changed the world. And that made all the difference.